Let's be honest, guys. Mamelodi Sundowns versus Kaizer Chiefs is a lopsided affair. Sundowns is far and away the better team coming into this game. And I think for Kaizer Chiefs, this game will be more about damage limitation than it will be about trying to go pound for pound with Mamelodi Sundowns. Mamelodi Sundowns has shown over the past few weeks that they're able to come in and give people 4 goals over and over and over again, regardless of how the different teams play. Whereas Kaizer Chiefs has had a very up and down season, and it feels as though they play one way, and that way either works or it doesn't. It depends on the team that you're going to play. I first want to look into both teams before going into how the teams should approach each other. I'm going to start off with Mamelodi Sundowns. I think Mamelodi Sundowns has shown that they are very adaptable. And I think that is the key to what Mamelodi Sundowns has brought to the table. Whether you approach them with a low block, whether you approach them with a mid block, whether you approach them with a pound for pound type game, they have shown that they're able to deal with a lot. The games that they played versus Pirates, which was more of a pound for pound game, 4-1. The games that they played versus TS Galaxy, yes, they lost one of those games, but came back to 4-1 again, where TS Galaxy was maybe playing more of a mid block than they did in the first game. Pushing more people forward, they won that game, and then they came versus Iskukune, who played an incredible game, pound for pound, tried to push, tried to go forward, and Mamelodi Sundowns was still able to take care of them. Shows you that what Miguel Cardoso has brought to Mamelodi Sundowns is an adaptability and a way to meet teams where they are, but still beat them because of the quality gap. When you look at Mamelodi Sundowns, that front line is incredible. Having Reina, Shalulile and Ribeiro on the pitch allows you to have pace, to have physicality and to have technicality. All of those 3 players bring a different thing. If you play a high line, Reinas can hurt you by running in behind. If you drop your line a bit more, Shalulile is able to also win those balls and play them. And then of course you have Ribeiro, who's just all-star in the team. There is a reason why Mamelodi Sundowns has the top 2 best scorers in the league, with Ribeiro leading everybody with 11 goals and Reinas following up with 9. When you look at the team, it is all around a very strong team. In the midfield, you have Mokwena, who has adapted so well to that 6th position. He wasn't playing 6 all the time, and a lot of the time Obas was there, or when Kutsia was in, he took up more of that 6 role. But Mokwena has taken up that responsibility of dropping back so well. And it doesn't hurt that you have Jayden Adams that you've added to the team. And what Jayden brings to the team, obviously, is more of a box-to-box 8 type situation, but he's freed up Allende to be able to roam a bit more. You know, when you see Mkhulise starting in the starting lineup, you watch Sundowns maybe come back a little bit because maybe they don't trust him as much and they have to cover for a lot of the things. But the moment Jayden Adams stepped into that team, you started to see a more confident Allende who goes forward and is starting to combine very well with Ribeiro. So from the midfield up, I think Mamelodi Sundowns is incredible. Now, where they may have a little bit of a weakness is the defense, and I believe it's because they haven't found their forever pairing, especially there at centre back. I think that Suarez and Kekana, or Suarez and Khoza, for example, or Suarez and Libusa, or Libusa and Khoza, all those pairings don't have defined roles as yet, and the communication can sometimes go missing there at the back. Now, Sundowns will not have Aubrey Mudiba because he's suspended, so we're probably going to see a Tiwani coming into that team. And what that does is maybe lessen Mamelodi Sundowns' other apparent weakness, which is when you have Moreno on the pitch, or even Mudawo on the pitch, and you have Mudiba on the pitch. Mudiba had been asked to play more of an advanced wing type player, very different to him cutting in. So he'd push up and Moreno would push up. It means that Mamelodi Sundowns is essentially defending in a 2. And when you defend in a 2, you're very susceptible to being countered, especially on the wings. And if you can bring those guys, the 2 centre backs, out of their positions, you can see that they struggle out wide, but also you start to see some of the defensive frailties of mokwena as well, right? But that is only for the teams that are willing to go and test Mamelodi Sundowns, that are willing to go and actually play versus Mamelodi Sundowns. Because this Sundowns team does have a habit of conceding. If you look at the game versus Kukune, that was a 4-2. If you look at Pirates, that was a 1 goal scored. If you look at TS Galaxy, for a little bit of that game, it was 2-1 up until the red card. So that tells you that you can get something from Mamelodi Sundowns. But I do think that this weekend, having Tiwani on the left-hand side he's going to be a little bit more defensive. On the other side, you have to pick between Morena and Mudau. I foresee Morena starting so that you can have a little bit more of an attacking threat. But that's going to be something to look at. Something else is that Onyango and Williams are both out for that game. So you're probably going to have... I don't know if Jody February is going to play this one, even though he is the warmer one. But you have a keeper that is susceptible also to conceding goals and making mistakes. So I don't think Sundowns will be able to play the ball out as comfortably as they normally would with Williams, or even with Onyango to a degree. So that's going to be something that might change their gameplay a little bit, especially if they get pressed. This Kukune, if you look at the second goal that they scored, was just coming from pressing and putting them under pressure, especially February, knowing that he's not as comfortable. He does make those mistakes here and there. So that is where maybe Mamelodi Sundowns is a little bit weak, but overall there's not many PSL teams that are going to be able to take advantage of that weakness. The players to look out for me have to be my player of the season currently, Lucas Ribeiro Costa. He's the one that makes them tick. He's the one that finds the spaces, and that overload where they send the three of them up is incredible. With Jaden following up, with Allender following up, is so key to what's going to happen in that game tomorrow. What's also really key, and what I think Coach Cardoso has brought to this team, is also the bench. You know, we make fun of guys like Abu Salesh, Arthur Sales, and we say that they're not strong or they're not up to it or it's not first team material. But that man has come in and he's got, I think, 8 or 9 or 9 or 10 goal contributions up to this point. He knows how to assist, how to find players. So if you need to change the game a little bit in the second half, it is something that you can do, knowing that that player will be there. And I think Coach Cardoso, what he has shown is that he's a great tactician who's not afraid of changing things when he sees that something is going wrong. So I think that is incredible. Again, Sundowns is a team that has faced low blocks and won. It's a team that has faced mid blocks and won. It's a team that has faced counter-attacking teams and won. It's a team that has faced pound-to-pound teams and won. So Sundowns is far and away the better team here. When you look at the Kaizer Chiefs, I think, is a team that suffers from making the same mistakes over again. I think Coach Nabi is a coach that is very stubborn in his approach to the game, and there's a specific way that he wants to play. And that specific way will either work or it will not work versus teams. And it's really up to who you are playing at the time and what their approach to the game is. When you look at the Kaizer Chiefs, their biggest strength is their attack. Okay, so I know I stopped the video a lot, and a lot of you are wondering, why are you asking for money? So I wanted to show you. I asked for money because I want to do more of this. Huh? But the truth of the matter is that it took over an hour in order just to render that shot. And it takes even longer when I'm doing my normal content because, guys, here's the unsung hero of the channel. And unfortunately, Shem, but the screen is broken. I have to use a second screen, and the performance is not up to it. So I'd really love to upgrade things like that. And when you look over here, this is what the setup looks like. Rehenga di patlo and rehenga di green screen, which is a reality of being a South African content creator. Also, this is what people think is my studio. It's actually my house. So if you still don't know that I'm doing all of this from my home, then I don't know. But that is essentially what I want to do. More of these cool things. But I need you guys to please help me out by donating 50 Rand or more into this account. You know, we're fighting for multi-choice. And for multi-choice, but there is subscription models all over the place. And I'd love to give the biggest quality while also being able to pay my rent and do things like that. That is where your money is going. And I promise to give you only the best content that I can if you do throw something in. So I just wanted to show you guys what I want to do with your money. I want to take this South African football and fulfill my dream of taking it into the future. But thank you guys so much. Remember, this is the bank account that you deposit into. Get back into the video. In terms of how they overwhelm other teams. So how Chiefs usually goes forward is a 4-man attack. They like to have let's say a Modi, a Chivavairo, a Modi, a Chivavairo, a Lilepo with a Serino going forward. They like to try and rush you when they come forward with support from Frosler and support from Cross coming in. So that 4-man attack becomes a 6-man attack, becomes a 7-man attack when they go in. And the thing they're trying to do to you is to make you chase shadows. You have to chase everybody and look out for everyone. And that's where the spaces in the box open up, where Abu Serino was scoring from. Now, Serino is a key player at Kaizer Chiefs because he's a thinker, but he's not available for this game. Chiefs' one big weakness going forward is that when they don't have Serino on the pitch, they lack a thinker. They will give you all the effort. They will run, they will make the spaces. But if you don't have somebody who can coordinate those attacks, they sometimes fizzle out. They sometimes don't come to anything. They'll go forward, they'll get to the byline, and nothing will happen. Modi will get into spaces and not get the final ball or get the final shot off. So if you are a defense that is not structured or a little bit sleepy, Chiefs does take advantage of those spaces. But if you can keep your structure and be a little bit more disciplined, that's where you can sort of stop them from being able to do anything. If we look at the midfield, the addition of Cele has been incredible in this team because Chiefs finally have a deep-lying playmaker. They have somebody who's comfortable on the ball. They have somebody who's comfortable on the ball at the back, somebody who can make some great passes, someone who's not afraid to be pressed. The only issue is that he doesn't have a set partner right now. When you bring in Abu Zwane and you bring in Abu Mart, you lose the defensive side of what the base of midfield is meant to do. So in footballing terms, you call Cele a regista, deep-lying playmaker, and their role is to play make. You then need somebody next to them who can pick up the defensive slack. Because what tends to happen to Chiefs is if you catch them on a transition, you start to see that everybody's late to come back. Everybody's late to chase or to get back in. That is why in the goals that we've seen be scored, you will watch Frosler out of position, Cross out of position, Cele out of position, Mart out of position, and it will almost feel as though there's an overload on transition. And when transitions happen, you go to the two in the center. The two center backs for me, I think Dottley and Miguel on the ball are decent, and in defense are okay. The only issue that I have with the two center backs is that both of them are first responders, a sweeper. So they want to push out and follow the ball and fetch the ball and go and run out to the ball. And at times they lose that communication. So if you compare it to Sundowns, Sundowns has what I call directors. I think about 5 directors. They're guys that watch the ball. They don't tackle. You don't take them out of position so easily. And maybe with their lack is that they don't have that tackle. They don't have that rough play in them. So if you can rough them up, you get something. But Chiefs, if you can be a little bit more finesse, they out of position a lot of the time. So if you look at the goal that was scored by Usaile, the tap-in, everybody was out of position. The two were left. And because the two are left, they have to go and respond to what's happening. And the moment they step out, they follow each other to the ball. And if you can beat one or play a ball across, a lot of the time there's a space that is open either in between or behind. So if you watch the replay of some of the goals, Miguel sees, I think it was Saile, sees Usaile. But because he's out of position, he can't do anything about that cross ball. And because they are both following the ball, it means that there's going to be a lot of spaces. Chiefs' biggest weakness is its defense. And it's that the defense is not structured enough. They don't speak to each other. So these two don't speak to each other to say, I am going cover center. They follow the ball, they chase the ball, they see the danger, they go for it. The two left and right backs' weakness is that they both push up. And there's nobody who can come back and cover. So in a perfect world, you have a place where your left back pushes up, the other one stays behind, so that at any point you have a 3. This is why Uditlokwe was so important to Kaizer Chiefs, because he didn't have that attacking gene in him. So he didn't push, which meant that most times, even when he transitioned on Chiefs, they would have 3 centre backs, which means that nobody out of these two was following the ball. Ditlokwe could handle that side. If somebody pushed out on the other side, the other two could shift and be there for each other. So losing Ditlokwe was a very big thing, because that is Chiefs' biggest weakness. And I think it comes down to how coach Nabi wants to play. It's very attacking. It's very naive. It's very, I need to outscore the other team. Early on in the season, what was giving Chiefs the advantage was that they could push those 6-7 players into the box, get 2 goals quickly early on, and then suffer for the rest of the game. Suffer for the rest of the game. Know that you're not getting the ball. Know that you're not doing all that stuff, but we can sit back and we can suffer, and a 2-goal cushion could help us out in most cases. But now, when you push all those guys forward, you really open up for counters. And this is where I want to speak about the opportunities that Mamelodi Sundowns has in this game. What Mamelodi Sundowns, the opportunities that Sundowns has in this game is very similar to the game they played versus Pirates, the 4-1, that they are often going to be faced with a 2-man defense. And I think Reyners is going to shine in this game, because Chiefs tends to be naive defensively. And if you look at the goal that the goal that Reyners assisted on in the derby, it was literally that situation I spoke of. West BC and Oki went off to the side to go chase Reyners. He put in a ball and a goal was scored. So if there is a chance for Mamelodi Sundowns to counter-attack, they will be all over Chiefs, because those two, like I said, they're not disciplined enough to look out for them. But to be fair to them, they don't have cover. The reason why Chiefs' left-hand side is always exploited is twofold. Number one, the winger is usually not a winger. So Modi plays on that left-hand side and is often cutting in to allow Cross to overlap. But what happens then is that even when Cross is back, if you can send a winger up the line, you're not facing Chiefs' winger, you go directly to the left back, which is why Cross tries to meet the danger as well. But when he meets the danger, that's where the spaces open up to the sides. And a lot of teams would just overload. We send our right back up to go and meet Cross, and we let our winger run past. Or we send our winger up to go meet Cross on the halfway line, and you know that if you can make a run, one of your forwards can make a diagonal run behind Cross, you can get that ball and do something with it on the counter. So I think that Mamelodi Sundowns will have a lot of joy on the counter, and I think that Ribeiro Costa needs to control the way that they play a lot. If you look at previous games versus Mamelodi Sundowns, you'd find that our defense is in 6s and 7s, because there's nobody who can direct that defense. And if we're not going to go with Mtetwa, you lose an extra layer of defensive cover. Because Tsele and Marto, Tsele and Zwane, in as much as they are great with holding the ball and playing the ball, they're not very good defensively. So Mamelodi Sundowns is going to have to attack Chiefs wide and use that front three to the best of their abilities. Even if you use the front three to pull the defense and you play cutbacks to P-spot, top of the box, where you can have a Jayden Adams or a Mokwena running in. I think that is where Sundowns will be the most dangerous. When it comes to Kaizer Chiefs on the other side, I think what Kaizer Chiefs needs to do is to be very direct when they're playing versus Mamelodi Sundowns. I think immediately when you win the ball, you have to allow Lilepo to bypass a Tiwani, if Tiwani is going to play, to bypass a Tiwani and become a physical challenge for Arthur Suarez. What we've seen from Mamelodi Sundowns is that they struggle with high balls. One of the things, they struggle with high balls. So if you can bring Lilepo in a little bit into the center, have him fight Suarez physically and allow Frosler to cross the ball, you will get something. Dare I say it, this might be a game that needs a Chivavairo to be the starter. But Morris is also very good with his head. So scratch that. Morris to start. Morris's job will be to stick in that box and make sure that whatever high balls are coming in, he wins. Because that's where Sundowns struggles. And if Jody February is starting, you can get a lot of balls from errors. Jody February and that defense is going to be also a focus of mine. Chiefs need to coordinate their front play, especially in the press, because I believe that's where you can win a lot of the balls. That's where when Sundowns is trying to play it out and the goalkeeper's a little bit unsure of himself, that's how you're going to win a lot of balls. What Chiefs will need to do in this game is to be structurally disciplined, which means that no flying cross and flying Frosler. One view, it must be one or the other, not both. And they're going to have to be very, very disciplined in their attack. I would love to see Mtetwa come into this game just to provide extra cover and maybe allow us to see if Cele pushing up a little bit can combine up front, because we no longer have a Serino. Maybe Cele can become our playmaking 8, right? And be the one responsible for the balls over. One of the things that I say all the time when you're playing Mamelodi Sundowns is when they get comfortable, they push the line all the way up. And what you must try and do is to make sure that you make the keeper sweeper, you make the keeper sweep as much as possible, which means playing balls into that space in between the defense and the goalkeeper. Ronwen is incredibly great at sweeping, but I don't think Jody, I don't think Shabalala have the timing. Jody, for the mistakes he makes, Shabalala for being fresh. I don't foresee him playing in this type of game fresh as a first game in, right? So if you can get them to sweep a keep, get them to just drop the ball into that space over and over again, you will get something from there, whether it be putting the defense under pressure and getting some yellow cards, possibly a red, or even putting the keeper under pressure. We saw Onyango a couple of times having that be the issue when teams play into those spaces. Ribeiro's going to have to be watched like a hawk. And I don't know if Cele is going to be able to do that. And if you want Mteto on the pitch, I don't know if you just want to be following Ribeiro, but somebody will need to follow Ribeiro to the side, to the center, to the change room. Hey, you need somebody who's going to be on him all the time. Chiefs does stand a chance of maybe scoring, but the issue is going to be the defense. And Sundowns is ruthless. Where other teams have gotten away with it, so if you give Sundowns the space that you gave to Supersport United, that game could easily become a bloodbath. All in all, if I'm being honest, Sundowns is going to win that game pretty easily. Cardoso is one of the best tactical coaches we have in the league, backed by the caliber of player that he has on the pitch. I think that is incredible. I think that Mamelodi Sundowns has a structure, but also the ability to go off script that many other teams don't have. And with some of the players on the bench, they're able to change games willy-nilly as easily as that. Kaizer Chiefs, on the other hand, Coach Nabi, I think, needs to, for this game, put aside the ego, put aside the stubbornness, and understand that this Sundowns is coming with massive firepower. So the chances will be few and far between, but they need to be coordinated. He cannot trust in this game that the players are going to just think about things and play on their own. It needs to be coordinated, which means you win the ball back, you look for those spaces that we spoke about. You win the ball back, you don't commit as many players forward, right? You win the ball back, you have Morris pinning the Sundowns defense and giving them a physical challenge, while then maybe you have Obumdu following up to take shots. It's going to be one of those games, I believe. So I'm looking forward to the game, even though I know that Chiefs probably doesn't stand a chance here. And if Chiefs were to win, this would be a very improbable win from Kaizer Chiefs. But let's see what they can do. Let's see if Chiefs will come in and be disciplined and not play this game similar to how they've played Sundowns in the past, going toe-to-toe, head-to-head, unorganized, disorganized, not knowing what to do. Sundowns has won 4 out of our last games. The last time the Chiefs did well versus Sundowns, or relatively well versus Sundowns, was under Milford, who understood that, guys, we're not going there to play football. He'd play a back 4 with 2 in front, and he'd be trying to move Sundowns to the side and trapping them into corners. It would be a back 6, back 7. The only thing that Motsepe didn't have was the outlet. He didn't coach for that outlet. So Coach Nabi is going to have to steal some of those concepts that Coach Motsepe had come with, and defense first, then going forward. Even if it's a 2-man attack or a 3-man attack, do not commit too many people forward, because you will open up. When TS Galaxy played versus Mamelodi Sundowns, the first time, they chose to go 5 at the back, even with 2 in front. And then they allowed Sibilimili, Zajmovic, and Litswalo to be forward players, and they be the pressure. The key, I think, to playing a Mamelodi Sundowns is that you come into that game, you come into that game and you separate your team. Morris, Lilepo, I'm going to say Modi because we don't have a thinker, Lilepo. You guys are there to have danger. The key to being a good defensive team is not just parking the bus or playing a low block. The key is to also have an attacking side to you, where you keep them thinking. So if you look at Polokwane City, they were defensively solid versus Mamelodi Sundowns, but they made sure every now and then to remind Sundowns that Oswin Apolis is still on the pitch. We still can break on you. So that stops them from being gung-ho. Similarly, what TS Galaxy did versus Sundowns the first time out was to say to them that, no, we're going to defend, but the moment we clear this ball, those guys are going to overload one of your sides, and we're going to get something from there, even if it's just scary. Morris is going to have to play a physical role, similar to the Maniema Union strikers, similar to Abotsele, who were physical challenges for the defense. I think Sundowns struggle sometimes when they're playing against players that are just good loser, not players that are looking for runs. So I'm looking for him to be a lot more physical. When you look at Mamelodi Sundowns, like I said, your chances are going to come on transition more than anything. And on transition, when you're facing 2 defenders, take it wide, and you'll be able to have 2 or 3 options coming back in. It doesn't even have to be a cross, it can be a cutback, but Chiefs is always chasing the ball. They're always chasing the ball, and they don't talk. So even if you dummy run Shalulile and you have Reina's running through, I think this will be a Reina's game more than a Shalulile game, because I don't foresee Coach Nabi sitting back. He spoke about how he could be sitting back and winning games on the counter, but then he's saying that no, he wants to play attractive football. So Sundowns, similarly, when you get the ball, be direct, and you'll get something from this game. But guys, let's see how this game is going to pan out. I'll see you guys then tomorrow. Bye, everyone.